Hi, this is Al Alborn with One Libertarian's Perspective, and I'm here with my state delegate, 51st District Delegate Rich Anderson, to ask him 4 questions. How are you doing, Delegate?
I'm fine. How you doing, Al?
I am doing just great. I'm glad you gave me a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a few questions, sir.
Okay.
I understand, we just finished a Article 5 town hall here in the Prince William County Board of County Supervisors. Would you like to tell the folks a little bit about that?
Well, we've planned this for quite some time. This is part of the run-up to the 2015 General Assembly legislative session that starts this coming Wednesday, January 14th, and will run for 6 weeks until we adjourn on the last day of February. One of the issues to be heard there is a resolution put forth by Delegate Scott Lingenfelter, who represents the 31st House District here in Prince William County, to pass a resolution that in fact urges the formation of an Article 5 Convention of the States. It's a concept that exists in Article 5 of the Constitution. There are 2 provisions for how we can do that. Either the Congress can call an Article 5 Convention, or the states can petition and call an Article 5 Convention of the states, which largely leaves the executive branch at the federal level and the United States Congress out of the process. And so it was a provision inserted by the original framers of the Constitution to provide for an article, that a mechanism by which the states could prevail against a federal government that was engaged in intrusive, obtrusive government that hampered the capacity of the states to self-govern. Because in the end, the states created the federal governments, not the other way around. And so I'm a strong supporter of this concept. I intend to vote for it in Richmond. I don't yet know what sort of legislative strength it has, but once we pass that, it goes directly to the United States Congress to notify them that we intend to be part of that group that will call an Article 5 Convention of the States. It doesn't involve the Governor of Virginia, the President, or the Congress. So it's a prerogative of the states.
Now, I just attended the town hall, and it was really informative. I understand you're planning to do something unusual for a strong supporter. You're going to have a town hall that gives the other side of the coin. Care to chat about that a bit?
Correct. 2 weeks from today, which would be, I think, the 24th of January, here in the McCord Government Center building, we'll have another get-together in which we will dissect the opposing view. Now, I support the concept of an Article 5 Convention of the States, but what I also support is in a free and independent society for both sides to be heard. So I'm going to host an event here in just 2 weeks. It'll be January 24th, 1 to 3 p.m. on a Saturday.
That's interesting. Now, one of my favorite issues is, of course, your support for the privacy of the residents of Virginia and the privacy caucus that you put together. Would you mind chatting a little bit about what's going on there, sir?
Senator Chap Peterson of Fairfax and I, in early 2014, formed the Benjamin Franklin Privacy Caucus. It gets its name from a Benjamin Franklin statement that, in effect, those who would trade a little liberty for security deserve neither liberty nor security. And so we've put that together. It's bipartisan. It has people from opposite ends of the political spectrum who are going to consider a number of issues and advocate on behalf of those issues in the General Assembly session. So the Ben Franklin Privacy Caucus will be the forum in which we'll do it. Our test case is this issue of license plate readers, which are devices mounted on the trunks of law enforcement vehicles that take literally thousands of photographs every hour in order to create a database on which they can query to determine, in the case of any sort of crime in progress or recently completed or a missing persons search, exactly if a given license number was in that vicinity. It's a complex process. It does have some law enforcement and crime fighting value, but I think the greatest offset to that is the fact that it represents a threat to personal privacy and personal liberties under our Constitution. To embrace that essentially overturns 2.5 centuries, some would argue 4 centuries, of belief here in the the Western Hemisphere.
And I understand you're doing something really exciting with the Constitution of Virginia and privacy.
I am proposing a constitutional convention constitutional amendment, that in effect takes the provisions of the federal Fourth Amendment to the Constitution about unreasonable and lawful searches and seizures and inserts it into the Virginia Constitution. Right now, the Virginia Constitution has very little to say about that, and we believe in the context of this electronic digital age where technologies come to bear that were not foreseen by the framers of the Constitution, that we need to have what we're calling a Fourth Amendment to the Virginia Constitution for the 21st century.
Wow. Now, last year, I remember one of the initiatives that really resonated with the public was your texting while driving legislation. I understand you're doing a little something with that this year to make it stronger.
We're coming back here in 2015 with an update to the 2013 legislation. The 2013 legislation essentially did two things. It took the offense of texting while driving and moved it from a secondary to a primary offense, and it beefed up the structure of fines so that sanctions were a little bit tougher on people. What we found is it's a very difficult law for law enforcement to enforce, and so as a result, law enforcement is supporting the approach that we're taking, which is simply to require the hands-free operation of any of these devices in the car, ergo a Bluetooth device. And I've asked for a delayed enactment clause, which is legalese, which is legislature speak for instead of having it effective on July the 1st, should it pass and be signed into law by the governor, instead of being effective on July 1st, 2014, we would make it instead of making it effective on July 1st, 2015, I forget the calendar changed recently, it will be effective 1 year later on July 1st, 2016. That lets people prepare and doesn't rush them up. Still permits people to talk on their cell phone. It permits them to do many of the things that they now do. They just got to do it in a hands-free way. Why? Simply because those behaviors are resulting in death and permanent disability for Virginians from coast to coast.
My family and I appreciate that one particularly, sir. So the session's kicking off. What else would you like to share with us that's coming up in 2015?
Well, probably one of the biggest issues that we'll have to deal with will be the state budget. The governor on December the 18th brought all the money committees down to Richmond, Finance and Appropriations, to talk about his proposals. We now have those in our possession as a result of that meeting. When I get to Richmond on Wednesday, we'll start meetings of the House Appropriations Committee that will consider his budget proposals, and we'll go from there. What we're trying to do is close a $2.5 billion gap over the 2 years.
Well, Delegate Anderson, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
This is Al Alborn, and that's a wrap.
Thank you.